The first hour after you wake up and the last hour before you sleep are running roughly 40% of your life. And you're probably spending both of them staring at a screen that belongs to someone else's agenda. Over the next few minutes, you'll see exactly what happens inside your brain during these two windows, why they carry more weight than the entire stretch between them, and how small shifts in either one compound into a completely different version of your year. If you've ever felt busy all day but empty by evening, the explanation starts here. Think about yesterday morning. What was the very first thing you did after opening your eyes? For most people, the answer involves a phone, a notification, someone else's emergency, someone else's opinion, someone else's content. And in that moment, something measurable happens in your brain. Your mental state during the first 60 to 90 minutes after waking is uniquely impressionable. Researchers studying cognitive priming have shown that the information you absorb in this window sets a filter for how you process everything that follows. Feed it anxiety, and your brain spends the rest of the day scanning for threats. Feed it someone else's priorities, and your own goals slide to the back of the queue before you've even brushed your teeth. This priming effect works because of how your brain transitions out of sleep. During the first hour of waking, you're moving through residual theta wave activity into full alertness. That transition period is a kind of cognitive soft clay. Impressions made here stick harder, last longer, and shape your default emotional tone for hours. A surgeon doesn't scrub in while checking social media. The morning window deserves the same respect. So what does a well-used first hour actually look like? The specifics matter less than the principle. You choose the input. A walk. Writing, reading something you selected on purpose, sitting with coffee in your own thoughts for 20 minutes. The activity is almost secondary. The point is that your attention stays under your own control during the window when it's most absorbent, and the effects are cumulative. One morning won't change much. 30 consecutive mornings start reshaping your baseline mood, your focus threshold, your sense of agency over the day. That compounding is where the real weight sits. But the morning window only tells half the story. The last hour before sleep carries equal weight, and for a completely different reason. Your brain doesn't shut off when you close your eyes. It shifts into a consolidation cycle. During sleep, particularly during slow wave and REM phases, your brain replays and organizes the experiences of the day. It decides what to store, what to connect, and what to let fade. The raw material for that process is whatever dominated your mental state in the hour before you fell asleep. Feed it a stressful email thread, and your sleeping brain rehearses conflict. Feed it a screen flickering at high speed, and the consolidation process gets disrupted before it even begins. The blue light issue is real, but it's actually the least interesting part. Screen light suppresses melatonin production, which delays sleep onset. You've heard that before. The deeper problem is cognitive arousal. Scrolling through content, even pleasant content, keeps your brain in acquisition mode. It's still hunting, still processing novelty, still triggering microdoses of dopamine with every swipe. And that acquisition state is the opposite of what consolidation requires. Your brain needs a runway to slow down. Without it, sleep quality drops even when sleep duration stays the same. You get 7 hours in bed and wake up feeling like you got 5. Researchers at Harvard Medical School track subjects who replaced their last hour of screen time with low stimulation activities. Reading a physical book, light stretching, conversation. The sleep architecture improvements showed up within a week. Deeper slow wave phases, more efficient memory consolidation. And the downstream effects bled into the next morning. Better mood, sharper focus, faster decision making. The last hour of Tuesday was improving Wednesday's first hour, a chain reaction hiding in plain sight. Now, zoom out. If the first hour shapes your day's emotional filter and the last hour shapes your sleep quality, then these two windows form a feedback loop. A good evening produces better sleep, which produces a cleaner morning transition, which produces a calmer evening. The loop reinforces itself, and the reverse is equally true. A chaotic evening fragments your sleep, which makes the morning groggy, which makes you reach for your phone for stimulation, which surrenders your attention before you've formed a single intention. That downward spiral feels like just how I am. It's how the loop is calibrated. You've probably noticed this without having the framework for it. Vacations feel different on day 3. The first 2 days, your body is still running on the old loop. By day 3, The new rhythm of slower mornings and screen-free evenings has reset something. You feel like a different person. Then you go home, the old pattern snaps back within 48 hours, and you wonder where that version of yourself went. It went wherever the loop sent it. The practical question is obvious. How do you protect these windows when real life is loud and demanding? The answer is boundaries that are small enough to actually keep. You don't need a 90-minute morning ritual involving journaling, meditation, cold plunges, and gratitude lists. That's a recipe for doing it twice and then quitting. You need one rule: no phone for the first 30 minutes. That's it. That single boundary preserves the most sensitive part of the window. Everything else is a bonus. For the evening, same principle. Pick a shutdown time for stimulating input. An hour before you plan to sleep, the laptop closes. The phone goes in another room. What fills that space almost doesn't matter. A book, a conversation, staring at the ceiling. Your brain will do its own work if you stop interrupting it. The resistance you'll feel is real. That pull toward the screen in the last hour of the day is the same pull a gambler feels toward the slot machine. Variable reward schedules are powerful. Acknowledge the pull and let it pass. It weakens faster than you'd expect. Here's where the math gets interesting. 2 hours a day is about 730 hours per year. That's over 30 full days. A month of your life, every year, sitting in the two windows that have the highest neurological leverage. Most productivity advice focuses on the middle of the day, the 6 to 8 hours of work where you're trying to optimize output. But optimizing the middle while neglecting the bookends is like tuning an engine while ignoring the fuel. The performance ceiling is set before you sit down at your desk and reinforced after you leave it. Critics would argue that some people thrive on chaotic mornings. They check email at 5 a.m. and feel energized by it. Fair point. Individual variation is real, and chronotype differences mean some people's peak alertness comes hours after waking. But the priming research holds across chronotypes. The question isn't when your peak performance arrives. The question is what shape the mental filter you're wearing when it does. A surgeon who operates at 2 p.m. still benefits from a morning that didn't start with someone else's crisis. The compounding effect is what makes this worth taking seriously. A single protected morning is pleasant. A year of them restructures your default state. Your baseline anxiety drops because you stopped mainlining other people's emergencies before sunrise. Your sleep improves because your brain gets the deceleration runway it needs. Your focus sharpens because consolidation is actually completing its cycle. Each improvement feeds the next, and the person standing at month 12 is measurably different from the one at month 1. The changes aren't dramatic on any given Tuesday. They're geological, slow, layered, and eventually the landscape looks completely different. That old journal entry you wrote 3 years ago, the one where you described feeling scattered and tired and somehow always behind, the handwriting is yours. The person behind it was running a different loop. 2 hours a day, 730 hours a year, stacked year after year. The version of you that exists 5 years from now is being built right now, in the margins of your morning and the quiet of your last hour. The question worth sitting with tonight, in that final hour, is which version you're compounding toward.